So we've seen that Confucianism has a strong emphasis on self-cultivation and the development of inner morality as well as an actual functioning moral community. Now, most religions also are interested in the development of morality, both within and for the community as a whole. But that doesn't make something a religion on its own, that you could have other moral systems that don't consider themselves religions. Why might we want to think that Confucianism somehow goes beyond that? Well, we have to just look a little bit deeper at some of the other aspects, and hopefully I'll be able to convince you that there is a significant moral component. Let's start off with filial piety. So filial piety is one of the central concerns in the Confucian tradition. It falls within the general category of the li, these ritual norms, right? So it's not just the concrete rituals, but broader sense of how one ought to behave in certain circumstances. And filial piety refers to the relationship that children have towards their parents. So filial means that you're the child, and pious, that root of being a good, morally correct. And so the idea here is that the Confucian tradition has a strong expectation that children will have tremendous deference and respect for their parents who gave birth to them and raised them when they were a baby and couldn't take care of themselves, and that they really owe a lifetime debt of gratitude for that. And so it's a very deep sense of obligation to one's parents. But it doesn't end when your parents die. In fact, when we were talking about the funeral tradition in China, we saw that one of the central issues was how do you bury your relatives, your parents in particular, and how do you maintain that kind of connection with them in the afterlife. And so, of course, we have the ancestor worship. There's a cute little small video there, just a short video. You can watch it if you want. This was from the previous lecture. If you already watched it, you don't have to watch it again, but it's going to take care of the grave at an annual festival. People clean it up and they have a big family kind of reunion and with the ancestors there. So and then you have the either an ancestral temple if you're wealthy, or just perhaps a room in the house dedicated to your ancestors, and all of these are the spirit tablets of your various ancestors. And so this idea that it's not just the relationships you have with the living, but with the dead as well, is a very central Confucian concern. And so, since death is usually one of the issues that we associate with religion, questions about what happens when we die and what rituals need to take place in order to ensure that what happens when we die isn't all that bad. And in the Confucian tradition, they certainly have that, right? That this is the rituals associated with death, a lot of them are very Confucian. The funeral service itself was Taoist, but the rituals associated with worshiping your ancestors afterwards are primarily associated with Confucianism. And so it would seem to me that that kind of connection to the dead, as well as thinking about what's going to happen to you when you die and having a relationship with your own children and expecting that they will do what's required for you to have a successful afterlife, that's the kind of religious concern that we would often see. And so that would seem to be sort of a religious component. Similarly, we talked about the Temple of Confucius, and again, if you watched that video already, don't watch it again unless you want to. But if you didn't, you might want to watch this ritual. We have a clearly religious ritual. I said that there are no priests in the Confucian tradition, but that doesn't mean that they don't hold rituals where they have members of the community acting in priest-like ways. You'll see if you watch the video that people dress up in special ritual garb, and they make food offerings and incense offerings, and they speak in a ritual way, but they speak to the dead, in this case to Confucius, right? So it could be your family member, but if you're somebody prominent like Confucius, then you can have a whole cult devoted to you. And there are certain things that Confucius, for his part, is supposed to be able to do for the living. They're not just his descendants, but anybody who, for example, is going to take college entrance exams they might want to go to a Confucian temple and pray and ask Confucius for some help. So that, again, seems to be the kind of thing that we might expect of a religion. So maybe Confucianism has some religious components after all. And the final example for this section would be the Temple of Heaven. This is in Beijing, but they have done similar things for approximately 2,000 years. And the idea is that heaven is a deity who is responsible for making sure that rulership on earth is being run by an appropriate moral kind of family. And so in China, they developed a system called the Mandate of Heaven, and the idea is that heaven, this deity, heaven can be a place, but it can also be a deity, and in this case it refers clearly to a deity. Heaven is this deity, and when a particular dynasty loses its moral capacity to create a peaceful, harmonious society, heaven withdraws the mandate from that dynasty and bestows it on a new family line. And then the emperor is referred to as the son of heaven. So throughout Chinese history, from about 2,200 years ago right up until the beginning of the 20th century, every single dynasty, the emperors are always referred to as the son of heaven, and one of their most sacred obligations is on Chinese New Year's, which happens just at the beginning of spring, that they go and they pray to heaven. And you can see these are special buildings for that purpose. All kinds of elaborate rituals take place. And right here, this is the altar of heaven, and you can see there's a circle right over there, and the emperor will stand on that circle and make his pleas directly to heaven. The emperor will pray directly to heaven. This is a Confucian ritual. And so Confucianism certainly is involved in a lot of things that look an awful lot like religion, and therefore, when you're trying to figure out is it a religion or not, these are some of the things that you should consider. I'll come back with a next part of the lecture, and we'll look at some other things that may also further convince you that Confucianism is a religion. But for now, you can go back and look over the material and maybe check out a couple of the videos.